I am in the Okhla Bird Sanctuary. It is probably way too windy to be doing this. So, I live in Delhi. It's a pretty god awful place. But for some reason, some animals like to live here. First, of course, are humans, and we have a lot of those. They come in all shapes and sizes. The second, and surprisingly, are raptors. Delhi has the highest concentration of raptors anywhere in the world. Most of those are kites. They love this city. Uh, and that's kind of surprising to me. Like, why do they live here rather than anywhere else? Turns out the city is pretty much designed for them. We have a large number of non-vegetarian people, and all of the discarded meat from those butcher shops is an amazing feast for these birds. And the city loves a garbage mountain. It is our way of making our city beautiful. And those places are amazing hunting grounds for these raptors. The raptor lobby must have really good sway in the city planning of Delhi because time and again, Delhi chooses to plant eucalyptus trees all around the city. And if you want to build a nest that is high above the ground and easy to build, a eucalyptus tree is pretty good for that. And that is why Delhi is an absolute paradise for them. Okay, that makes sense for the birds that live here. They have adapted to this place, they have a lot of opportunities here. But you'd be surprised to know that there are some birds that travel 4,500 kilometers from the ends of the earth to get to Delhi. Why the hell are they coming here? There's so many other places to go. But instead of going to any of those, they choose to come to Delhi. Imagine you are a Siberian peregrine falcon, one of my favorite birds, one of the fastest animals anywhere on earth, and you have just been born in the middle of April, somewhere in the middle of the Siberian taiga, and you have 4 months. 4 months to grow up, to learn how to fly, and then to fatten up. Because very soon you have to start on a very perilous journey across the Siberian taiga, over the Siberian mountains, through the Mongolian desert, then a hop over the Tibetan plateau, and then all you have to do is go over or around the Himalayas to come to the promised land of New Delhi. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't he go somewhere else? Why wouldn't he go to Jim Corbett or to one of the many Ramsar sites in Rajasthan or around the India? Why would he come to Delhi? Just to show you what I mean. But a few kilometers that way is a huge office park. A few kilometers that way is one of the largest shopping complexes in the whole country. A few kilometers that way, and I can see that right now, there is about 70,000 apartments being built. A few kilometers upstream, where the Yamuna flows from, the city has just finished dumping all of its wastewater into this river. So, by all accounts, this should be a pretty terrible place for a bird sanctuary. But still, lots of birds call this their permanent home, and many other birds travel to this place every single year for winters. So why do these birds migrate at all? There's a sizable population of peregrine falcons that live right here in Delhi and call it home. So why do their closely related brethren make this insane trek every year? And the answer is probably, as with a lot of things in evolution, that it just works. It is a pattern of existence that just continues to make more Siberian peregrine falcons. And as long as that continues to be the case, it will continue to happen. How it started is maybe a more interesting question. 10 to 20,000 years ago, when the last ice age was ending, the ice began retreating northwards, and it exposed more breeding grounds for the falcons to go into. And so the ancestors of the current peregrine falcons probably decided that it is a good idea to go to those new breeding grounds where there is less competition. And so they started making the journey every summer to go breed and then come back here in the winters. And as the ice kept moving northwards, the migration route kept becoming longer and longer until they reached the end of the continent in Siberia, where these peregrine falcons breed to this day. These migration routes that were set up 10 to 20,000 years ago are called flyways, and Delhi lies in the middle of one such flyway called the Central Asian Flyway. And pit stops like this one here in Okhla are extremely important for the continued existence of these migration routes. And I just think that that is so cool. Over 4,000 years, humans have changed this area from a sprawling wetland to one of the biggest metropolises in the whole world. And yet, these migratory birds, with maps embossed onto their DNA, continue to want to come here for some reason. And yet, others choose to live here. But just because these routes have existed for so long doesn't mean that they will last forever. And we shouldn't push them to their limits. Long migration routes like this one require pit stops. They're like petrol stations or dhabas that provide food and fuel to these birds to be able to make that journey. And this particular dhaba is under quite a bit of danger. The fight for this bird sanctuary has not been a smooth one. As I said before, there has been rapid urbanization all around this place and illegal construction within this place. In 2006, the Supreme Court even ordered that no mining activities are to take place within a 10-kilometer radius of this site. That included the construction of a new residential apartment. But in 2013, it was found out that 53 residential projects have been cleared to be built within the 10-kilometer radius of this site. These projects had taken their clearance from the state governments, but not from the National Board of Wildlife, which meant that they were in violation of that 2006 court order, and the construction on those buildings was halted. But that order did not last for very long, partly because the future of about 70,000 families was already invested in those apartments being built. And so the buffer zone was reduced from 10 kilometers to just 100 meters, which is where it is at right now. Other than that, there have also been accusations of mismanagement of this bird sanctuary. People have claimed that it is being turned into a tourist attraction and the focus on conservation is being lost. The evidence shows in the biodiversity and population of birds in this area. After a slight uptick in the pandemic years of 2020 and 2021, it has been on a steep decline, reaching historic lows in the 23-24 Asian water bird census. What that means is that this dhaba slash petrol station is already becoming less popular. There's more focus on the decoration and the children's play area while the food is getting worse. And if next time I go there, they don't give me a full pat of butter on my paratha, I'm never going there again. What was this about? Oh yeah, birds, not dhabas. Point is that if this wetland continues to deteriorate, what with all the waste that we are putting into the Yamuna River and the monster urbanization that is happening all around it, humans might end up finishing the job that they started 4,000 years ago. And birds may finally abandon this place forever. That would be very sad. It would be another step towards Delhi becoming the ultimate dystopia. And if that is the attitude towards natural biodiversity that we have in the national capital, there is little hope for other regions. Until then, I think that this area is still a pretty marvelous example of the resilience of nature against whatever we throw at it. I find it pretty amusing when people say, "Oh, we need to save nature." I bet all of us have made at least once "Save the Nature" poster when we were in high school. But I honestly think that nature doesn't need saving. The parts of nature that we care about, the parts of nature that we need to live our lives, and the parts that we like to look at, they do need saving, and we will try to save them. Perhaps if we are smart about things. But once humans are gone, once we are a thin line in the geological record, nature will bounce back. Species that are more adapted to the world we leave behind will take over, and biodiversity at some point will flourish again. And all that will be left of humans will be an unnaturally high radioactivity background. So, yeah, if you have a free day, do try to come to the Okhla Bird Sanctuary. The weather is pretty nice. There's lots of birds around, and it's not even the peak of migratory season yet. So if you watch this when it comes out, still have a week or two to visit the place and see some pretty cool birds. Bring a guide with you. Bring some binoculars or a camera. Try to do a bird count. Bird counts are really important citizen science projects that help in the conservation efforts in these regions. Try to leave it a better place than when you found it. Clearly, we've not done a good enough job of that over the years, but we can try. There's a freaking deer watching me right now, which is kind of cool.